everybody. Welcome to Transcendental Waves. I'm Jeff Bailey.
And I'm Michael Burrows.
Nice to talk to you today. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about alcohol. Why is it legal? What it does to you?
Jeff,
Why is it so socially accepted?
Jeff, have you ever wondered why alcohol is legal here and weed is not?
Yeah,
In Tennessee.
100%. I've wondered that a bunch of times, especially, as a kid, the whole DARE campaign kind of leads you to believe that alcohol is fine as long as you only do a little bit of it, and then there's all these other drugs that are bad, weed being one of them, and it's just you kind of realize that weed does not fall in the same category as a lot of those other drugs as you get older, but alcohol does seem to be a lot closer to those than weed.
Right.
And yet it's legal.
Right. So when did you first notice that? Like, when did you first think of that?
Well,
How old were you?
I don't know, probably in our early 20s. I experimented pretty heavily with alcohol and realized that it was a source of mostly bad decisions.
I mean, I got blackout drunk multiple times when I was in college. What about you?
Yeah, and it really, to be honest, it's one of those things where it's just like, well, this is the socially acceptable way to party, and I want
Absolutely.
to party and be a
Everybody's
part
doing
of the group. Yeah, so
Have-
you do it, and you don't. I don't think they tell us exactly what type of damage we're doing to our body, and yeah, everybody tells you if you have that one friend that does it every day and does it way too much, oh, that's bad, but really, every time you drink at all, it's terrible. And every time you blackout drunk, you are actually killing your brain.
Now, have you ever blacked out from smoking too much weed before?
No.
Me either.
Yeah, and it's a crazy thing to think that substance is illegal. And
So if you had that realization that maybe it's not what they say it is, I had that realization at 34 years old. You found out in your 20s. I didn't use marijuana until I was out of the Army, and I was 34 years old. And my neighbor was like, oh, you can't sleep because you got PTSD and your mind's staying up and staying awake, and you got neck pain and arthritis and stuff, and you don't use marijuana, do you? And I said, nope, I never have, because I said, I'm going to obey the law, but when I get out of the Army, I'm going to try it. That night, I took a little piece of edible and like a gummy. It's like a gummy bear. And I slept better and easier, and my depression was better, my mood was better, everything was better. And that was the night I had an epiphany of the whole DARE program has gone wrong.
yeah, man, I smoked a lot through college, and to be honest, I always enjoyed that more than the feeling of getting drunk. The drinking was always a social thing. You almost feel pressured into drinking to be a part of the party scene or people having a social gathering, and it's weird because if you think back on a lot of those parties, and I know that college parties and quote unquote grown up parties are different, but the more alcohol that's involved, the more aggressive people seem to get, and the more
They have bar fights,
yeah,
right?
the more
they don't have
negative
weed
things,
fights.
yeah, the more negative things happen. Sexual assault, and I don't know the studies as far as if you had a bar full of people that were only smoking weed, what are the chances of somebody getting sexually assaulted? But my experience I would assume that a lot of the negative effects that come from alcohol just wouldn't be the same if marijuana was the thing that was more socially accepted.
Right. And doctors all over the United States and the world and other countries are accepting it as a medicine. I mean, there's countries that have not only made it perfectly legal, but have given it to their citizens to grow for the medicinal uses. And There is nobody ever right now doing that for alcohol. No doctors can prescribe alcohol because they know it's not a medicine. But weed is a medicine. And it just blows my mind how it's so demonized here in the Bible Belt, in Tennessee especially, but in all these states around, all the states that are not legalized yet. It's mind-blowing that there's all this science out there, and yet, I mean, I've been to the committee meetings last year about Tennessee, like when all these guys are up there, all these politicians and lawmakers are saying, well, we need more research. I don't know what these guys are doing. I mean, the research is on the computer. You just go and look it up, but it's like they're wanting to do new studies or something. It's so ridiculous. It is just mind-blowing how backwards some of these states want to be. And it almost makes you think maybe they're getting paid by alcohol, businesses or something.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those things where you could look into just another conspiracy theory. I mean, I personally think it's more the pharmaceutical companies that are keeping a lot of the plant medicines out of the game. But I do think that, prohibition was part of it in the beginning. Alcohol, we went through a stage where we had prohibition for alcohol, and I'm not saying that no one should be allowed to drink alcohol. I actually am for freedom of all things. But what I am saying is, like, we should be properly educated on the chemical substances we're allowed to put in our body and we're prescribed to put in our body. No doctors are going to prescribe alcohol ever.
So we should be putting more THC into our bodies than alcohol, theoretically, if one's a medicine and one is a poison.
It should definitely be a first option, I would say.
But so many people around here see it as it's more worse on you than it is than drinking. And I guess that's just the stigma of the DARE program and their parents' influence and their grandparent and they're just their house. I have never seen anybody ruin their life from just smoking marijuana.
No, a lot of times the problem with that is like, because of things like the DARE program and inadequate education about like substances and abuse and just like how depression and anxiety can cause attachment to these different substances. Like, you try weed and it doesn't really do much of anything like you're told. So then you start trying a bunch of these other things. Certain people get, tangled up, and it does make it seem like weed's a gateway drug to a lot of people. It's very like, you can look at it and be like, well, that person smoked weed and then they went down this spiral of doing a bunch of other stuff. But the fact of the matter is it's like the system, the way people are taught to just, hey, you better do exactly what you're told. And this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. And then you start looking at the anecdotal evidence and you're like, well, not all of that's true. You start experimenting on your own when you're very uneducated, and at a young age, there are a lot of substances out there that are bad and scary and can do things that, young people don't necessarily have full control of their body or their emotions, and some of those substances can take control of people for sure.
Yeah, I think that marijuana should be classified as a medicine and labeled as such and not a drug, because then it wouldn't ever be able to be classified as a gateway drug. Because what you say is so true, Jeff, that once you use marijuana, you say, you got to be kidding me. This is drugs. This is what's going to make me crazy. This is what's going to destroy my life. It's making my life better. It's like, you're like, there's no way. Like, I mean, anyone who uses weed will tell you their life's better because of it. It's not like an addiction. It's more like a quality of life improving herbal supplement. But if you use marijuana and you feel that good and there's no these negative effects, you're like, well, maybe heroin's not as bad as they say. Maybe methamphetamine's not that bad.
Hey, doctors prescribe these things.
Right, or cocaine. It's all, all these things. Who knows, but those things are real drugs, but just they're not. Marijuana doesn't do the same thing as those, and for it to be classified as bad or worse than those things, I mean, there's something up with it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you said that you discovered this in your mid 30s. Like, well, that's what I'm saying. Is these, like, teenagers, young kids start experimenting on these things. And children, I mean, we all know this. If you're an adult, we were all there. Like, children have a hard time processing big feelings and emotions. We do as adults sometimes. So, like, if they find these other coping mechanisms that are working, and then they just keep diving deeper and deeper because they're not, I mean, they're not learning how to cope with their feelings. They're replacing them with chemical substances, and then they find, a lot of times these problems are deeper than an addiction to any one drug,
Absolutely.
and an absence of education on what we're doing with our bodies and how to process these emotions are the biggest factor for, I think, a lot of like drug addiction. I mean, alcohol.
Mental health all the way. I mean, that is what brings addictions on. That's what starts them. That's what's gonna heal them.
Right.
It's
I
there.
mean,
Yeah.
alcohol to me is like the craziest thing is it is more similar to the chemical effects it has on your body, the actual chemical dependency. Like, I mean, people can have withdrawals from alcohol. Like, I mean,
And they can die.
yeah, and there's it's crazy that that's something that's allowed. And what I'm saying, like I said earlier,
And
is
it's almost encouraged even.
right. Is it's I'm not saying take that stuff away. That what I'm saying is pay attention
Give
to
us
what's promoted
right.
and
Give
think
people a
about why.
choice
Yep.
too. It's almost like alcohol. It distracts you from life. It distracts you from your emotions. It distracts you from the issues you're having. It numbs you. Marijuana is different. It doesn't black you out. It doesn't make you forget everything. It actually helps rearrange some brain synapses and makes new connections and makes you think differently so you can actually rearrange those traumatic effect thoughts and rearrange them in a better way to move forward. And you're like, I didn't even know I could think that differently.
Yeah.
It's
Is it illegal because it helps open your mind and think of new possibilities, or is it illegal because it's really dangerous and scary? Because alcohol obviously is a poison that they let you have and they want you to have because it numbs your emotions and numbs your feelings and numbs your ability to think. So why are they letting us have that one?
Do you know how many dumb, scary things I've done while drinking?
Yeah, yeah, we've survived many of them together.
Right.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I
Now,
understand.
how many dangerous things have I done while smoking weed?
I mean,
The same as I would be sober. I mean, so not. I don't
right?
know.
Probably a few.
Right,
Right, probably
exactly.
a few. I mean, I've
I,
done some dumb things not drinking,
well, I wouldn't even call them dumb, but
but scary, risky,
right,
adrenaline rush options. Like,
exactly. Like skydiving.
right, right,
Right.
yeah,
That's dangerous.
exactly,
Still gonna
exactly.
do it.
It's fun. Um, yeah, man. It's a weird thing to me that
And why are so many people dead set on not learning about the benefits or the the lies about the marijuana? It's like so many people are dead set on it staying illegal and it not coming to this state. I mean, there's only a few states left that are so determined for it not to come, and it's almost like this is the last holdout for this devil lettuce. But it's coming, and the science just shows. I mean, I guess I hate even saying that term now. The science shows. I mean, I think the vaccine ruined that. The science shows.
yeah, science has now been corrupted by our government and media.
Dude, when I was younger, I was like, oh man, these old Vietnam veterans, they don't trust the government at all, man. They have lost their mind, but I still love them. And now, like, I'm one of those guys who doesn't trust the government at all. And, like,
Yep,
still love me, guys.
because they take away natural options and feed us alcohol and pills.
Yeah, like alcohol and the Holy Bible. Here you go. Sort it out.
Yep. Here's some really complicated information and some stuff that's gonna make you feel real stupid. So have fun with that. Yeah, it is crazy, man. I do wonder if if in our lifetime we will like see an option where we go even beyond marijuana. I think marijuana will be legal here eventually and real soon. Really, I know there's holdouts, and as far as I mean, human autonomy and us being free, like I said, I don't really care if you drink alcohol. I'm not even here to tell you not to ever drink. I
I mean,
I
am I ever going to drink again? I'm going to drink again, probably. I mean, but I mean, it won't be more than a beer.
it's been almost a year since my last drink, and the last time I had a drink was celebrating some news with a family member, and I had a glass of whiskey on the rocks, and like it was a good. I think it's a good taste, and it's something that is like relaxing sitting around a fire. But I do think since I've watched the videos of what alcohol actually does to your body and how it basically metabolizes into a poison in your bloodstream, it's just it's another one of those things where it's like, yeah, I eat junk food, but I know it's bad for me, and I try to limit that as much as possible now. And I to
Yeah,
me, it just like blows my mind that they were promoted to drink.
when you learn about how bad alcohol is for you physically, you're right. Like if you're trying to get in shape, you are just doing your body insane amounts of reverse damage. You're damaging yourself so bad by drinking.
Yeah, your body breaks down other resources it needs worse when you're drinking.
And so you wonder, like, hey, all these people are having, these younger people are having these sudden, deaths or heart attacks or things. What's it coming from? It could be maybe they're not as healthy as you think if they're drinking beers or every night or wine.
Our food system's terrible. The way we're taught to have our spend our leisure time is terrible. I mean, yeah,
Right. There's so much living of life people could be and going and doing, but it seems like most of them are just wanting to be distracted instead of living.
well, yeah. Even in our downtime, we pile into big buildings and just get wasted together. I mean, you look at sporting events and concerts, and I'm not saying any I do I do go to these events and it's fun, but if you just look around and think about how much money is generated based on alcohol sales at these places, and then like you said, you see bar fights or hell, I mean football games, fans fight all the time. I mean,
Dude, I went to this concert this weekend and it was so much fun in the cave. And I went with some friends and they were drinking and one of the guys was drinking more so than the others. And one of my friends was like, "Hey, you remember that conversation?" And he's like, "No, I don't remember." And it's like, "Oh man." And he's like, "Man, that was such a good conversation. You said such cool things." And he's like, "I don't remember." And it's like, man, if dude, if you would have just been smoking weed, you would have remembered every second of that. It's like
yeah,
it's interesting just to see it and because you when you experiment it with it, it's I mean you become I don't know if you want to say a subject matter expert, but you know what people and scientists are talking about. You don't know until you try it, and but I guess it's not the same when you're drinking. It's it's almost like when you're drinking, you don't get the same benefits of weed. It's almost like the alcohol just takes over and gets amplified almost. But if with the weed, you're so conscious and creative, and you remember it.
it's almost like I mean, I would say this that most people that drink a lot would argue that there's that golden zone where if you have that just perfect one or two drinks, you're in the zone and everything's good. But then
Yeah.
if you drink too much more than that, you're gonna start feeling bad and all. And then eventually you black out, and we've all done that. But I mean, they both have that point where like they just relax you and let you become yourself. And I would say that a lot of the negative side effects of like marijuana, like the paranoia, anxiety, and stuff like that, come from the fact that like it's mostly a looked down upon thing, and it's a just like you're more scared you're gonna get caught doing it than you're scared something bad's gonna happen if
Oh yeah,
people.
because you're like nothing's bad gonna. Something bad's gonna happen to me. No, you're right. It's like, oh my God, you're right. People that have never done it have no idea what it's like. I used to be one of those people, for a long time. It's crazy now that like in Canada, it's legal and everywhere. Now, do you think the dads up there and the moms up there that are using marijuana are worse than the moms and dads down here in the Bible Belt that are not using it? I don't. I think they're just as good. In fact, maybe they're better because they're more open-minded and accepting. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I think once people get beyond their like their previous beliefs and just look into the studies. I'm not even saying that it's like a cure all. I don't want anybody to think that it's like something that I believe
Sure.
fixes everything. What I'm saying is the things that we have that are legal do lots of damage to our body. Alcohol being one, pharmaceuticals being another. A lot
Hmm.
of the chemical changes that happen to our body, and some of that some of that stuff is necessary. I'm not saying that like hospitals and doctors should go away. Just look into your options. Like figure out.
Right. It sucks that we don't have those options. In the freest country in the world, allegedly, you would think we would have those options. You'd think we would be the cutting edge of health and human performance. Um, it's funny that the health department of the country has asked the DEA to down schedule, marijuana. And so we're still waiting on the DEA, that's current. But, why people? It's like they're locked in tradition. Like I've traditionally always been against it because it's a drug and I've been told it's bad. And oh yeah, maybe some people who's dying with cancer or cerebral palsy, maybe they'll benefit from it medicinally. But no, the average person, no, they got alcohol or they got their pills from their doctor to use.
Well, and that's the crazy thing, and it's like, look, we're not even saying that cerebral palsy or cancer goes away with weed, but the painkillers and the different medications that are like that accompany those diseases and illnesses do terrible damage to the body, and like weed doesn't. Like that's just, I mean, it might not cure them, but if it helps them feel a little better while they're going through these terrible illnesses, then why should they be like? Why shouldn't they be allowed to do it? I mean,
And why should they have to have cancer to go through that? What if someone just has rheumatoid arthritis, or what if someone just has a broken leg, What if someone just is an athlete and just got sacked really hard, and their body's all bruised? What if you're a construction worker and you just pulled a muscle in your back lifting something, What about all that? What if I just got chronic back pain
I'm
from
of
being in
the
the army?
opinion that you should. I mean, it should be just like I'm had a rough day at work and on my way home I'm buying beer,
I
like
mean,
whatever it is. Like it should be whatever you want it to be. Like the fact of the matter
it's
is
shit over
that's
the
what I'm
counter.
saying. Yeah,
I mean,
it's not
it's a weed out there growing anywhere. I mean,
right.
it's called weed because it will literally grow anywhere. It's like the easiest growing plant ever, and do you know it's the only plant that uses UV sunlight? I thought that was very interesting.
I
Sounds
didn't know that. I did know it was the only other plant related to hops, which I think is an interesting topic because we kind of started talking about alcohol and moved our way into the like legalization of marijuana, but it's those two plants are very closely related, and it's almost like a to me, I've always kind of thought of them as like the yin and the yang of the plant world, and where like weed is a very happy and fun drug, and alcohol kind of is depressing and turns you like you said, frees your shadow self and lets you do things that you you probably shouldn't be doing, but deep down inside want to do. And it's like it's crazy that they've been in the world and evolved alongside humans together for a long time, and still today, it's like society as a whole would rather drink the one that makes us blind and just like dulls down our senses instead of the one that opens them up and releases us to our senses, really.
Oh, yeah, dude. Like whenever I use some THC, all my senses feel more activated. I feel more in touch with my body. I feel more in tune. Yeah, but not with alcohol.
No, like
Not ever.
I mean, you can feel your emotions, you can process things a little better.
Oh, dude, food tastes better. You hear better. I mean, your heart feels better. You got a smile on your face and a song in your heart.
Yeah.
All those things that we all want more of.
And then you just sit, like you said, you look around and you wonder, like, why is this illegal here? Like,
Right.
when it's like there's definitely places that are letting people do this, and it's not like they're just dying or like crime rates didn't go up. Like, I don't understand. What's
Right, you
the
mean
issue?
everybody just living the same and happier? Okay, this is cool. Why can't we do that back where I live?
Yep.
Well, you can just go over there. Oh, well, un- unfortunately, I've got a child and stuff. I can't just go over there.
Yeah, the way the world works, it's not that easy.
Right. It's not. It's not that easy, man. What if you got a job and you got a family you don't want to live in? You're like, I just want to be free to, use God's, green earth like He wanted me to. I know, but you're not that free. This isn't one of those free
This is
states.
God's country. You're not that free here.
Right. This is the Garden of Eden here. You'll do what God says. Do not let that devil influence you with that tree of knowledge from that devil lettuce.
Oh man. Yeah, so are you saying that the tree of knowledge and devil's lettuce are maybe the same thing?
I'm just saying maybe Tennessee isn't the Garden of Eden, or the Bible Belt isn't the Garden of Eden.
Yeah. They are good at telling you what God thinks you should do with your life, though.
But could the tree of knowledge be the cannabis plant? It could. Could it be the mushroom fungus? It could. Could it be a different plant that has DMT in it? It could. I don't know.
There are definitely some societies that think the acacia bush and the tree of life are a very similar thing, and the acacia bush is definitely highly concentrated in DMT.
Yeah.
I mean, that'll be a great topic for another video, is other plant medicines and
Spiritual plant medicines.
yeah, the effect on human consciousness and how that can help maybe shape the future as well.
Yeah, that's going to be a good episode.
Can't wait to talk about it, guys. Look forward to seeing y'all in the future. Like, comment, subscribe. Can't wait.
We love you guys. Thanks for all the comments. Please give us some ideas that you want to hear about.